We are getting close to the end in our countdown of the NFL's most disappointing teams of the Super Bowl era. The 1983 New York Jets were our latest entry at number 10, and we're now ready to dive into the single digits. We'll be doing so momentarily, but first, let's quickly talk about C-Score. C-Score is a metric created by this channel to evaluate each and every team of the Super Bowl era instead of just looking at its record. For a deeper explanation about how C-Score works, be sure to check out the description of this video. To make this list, a team must have done the following. They begin a 3-year stretch with a positive C-Score. They follow that up with an elevated C-Score that is higher than 15. The follow-up to that season is with a negative C-Score, with this third season serving as the disappointment. The larger the drop from Season 2 to Season 3, the higher that disappointment will rank. Given the time of this video's release, this is the most recent a team can be to make it onto this list. Coming off a Super Bowl appearance, the San Francisco 49ers faltered in 2024 and take our number 9 spot. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please do the whole YouTube thing if it so moves you. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and ding that notification bell. We are ready to roll. After a surprising run to the NFC Championship game the year before, the Niners were keen on carrying that momentum into 2022. In the end, they had done just that, finishing 13-4 with a plus 173 point differential and a C-score of 21.379. They did play the easiest schedule in the league, in part because the NFC West was down from the season before, but that didn't matter so much early on in the season. A 21-point home loss to the Kansas City Chiefs had the Niners reeling at 3-4. Since we know their final record, we can deduce that they ended the season on a 10-game winning streak, with several of those wins coming in dominant fashion. Two major storylines emerged for the 49ers this season. The injury to starting quarterback Trey Lance and the subsequent injury to backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo brought Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy into the starting role. And there was the midseason acquisition of running back Christian McCaffrey. Offense dominates headlines, of course, but the 49ers unit making the real waves was the defense, leading the league in several categories, foremost in fewest points and yards allowed. This brought them back to the NFC Championship game where they were up against a powerful Eagles team. Many point to Brock Purdy getting knocked out of that game, and while that wasn't ideal, the truth is that Philly was the better team, especially on that day, and earned their victory in that game. With the Shanahan system in place, the offense was gonna hum, and the defense was literally tops in the league, so expectations heading into 2023 were high. And those expectations were met. They may have dropped to 12-5, but they increased their point differential by 20 points against the significantly harder schedule, landing number 3 finishes in both points scored and points allowed. Their C-score this season was 27.664. 13-4 the year before couldn't land them the NFC's number 1 seed, but 12-5 this year could. And with that, the 49ers made it to a third consecutive NFC Championship game. But this time they were finally able to break through and win it. It wasn't easy though, surviving a game Green Bay Packers team in the division round, then completing a comeback victory of the upstart Detroit Lions, where they certainly got a bounce or two in their favor. Back-to-back 3-point wins had them in the Super Bowl against a familiar foe, the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only were the Chiefs defending champions, but they defeated the Niners just 4 years earlier in the Super Bowl as well. Many will know how this game played out. A tense affair that needed nearly an entire overtime period to decide, but in the end, the Chiefs beat the Niners again. Yet another 3-point game that This time, San Francisco was on the wrong side of. A franchise that had won its first 5 Super Bowl appearances had now lost their last 3. And wouldn't you believe it, for the 3rd time in a Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan, whether as an offensive coordinator or the head coach very much in charge of the offense, blew a double-digit lead and lost the game. Shanahan is unquestionably an offensive mastermind who can plug just about anyone resembling competence into his system and make it work. But as a head coach, and when in big moments, he has shown time and again that he falls short. A classic not good enough to win it all, but way too good to move on from kind of situation. Still, the team was loaded with talent. In fact, from an objective standpoint, they were probably the most talented roster in the league from 1 to 53. Minus the ridiculous 2020 season, the Niners were a Final Four team in 4 consecutive seasons. The time was right to finally get over the hump and win the organization's 6th Lombardi trophy. Or so it seemed. With so many expectations rightfully placed on this team, they instead traveled the dark road of disappointment. Very little, if anything, went right for the 49ers in 2024, resulting in a big drop down to 6-11, their worst record and point differential since 2018. Most distressingly, they dropped down to 29th in the league in points allowed. They earned points for playing the league's hardest schedule, but not enough to secure a positive C-score, landing at -4.627. We can start the explanation right here. FTN Fantasy taking over from Football Outsiders, either way we're talking about Aaron Schatz here, has a metric called Adjusted Games Lost, or AGL. Instead of just adding up how many players missed games and how many games they missed, they take into account other factors, such as players leaving a game injured, players playing while dealing with some kind of injury, and, most crucially, the role that player was expected to have for the team. For instance, an injury to Trent Williams is treated with the greater significance that it deserves over an injury to Ronnie Bell. Back to these rankings. The Niners lead the way here at 141.2 AGL, with the 2nd place Raiders closer to the 8th place Lions than they are to 1st. And they were hit across the board, 2nd most AGL on offense, 3rd most on defense. No matter how you slice it, that's a lot of injuries, and that would challenge the depth of any NFL roster at any time period. You may notice how extraordinarily healthy they were the season before. Still, San Fran was hanging in there, beating the Buccaneers in Tampa coming out of their bye week to sit at 5-4. Then the losses started piling up, including back-to-back shellackings against the Green Bay Packers and the Buffalo Bills. They allowed at least 29 points in 5 of those losses, but in the other 2, where they only allowed 20 and 12, they still couldn't get the win. Injuries were a factor, of course, but another factor was that the team just didn't play all that well most of the time. Their only other road win came in Seattle, a favor the Seahawks then returned with a victory in San Francisco. The idea that teams coming off a Super Bowl loss were destined for failure the next season had faded somewhat over the years, with only 2 of the past 17 such teams landing a negative C-score, one of them being the Niners in 2020, and even then just barely. The Niners seem to be bringing back that trend though, putting up the worst such C-score since the 2006 Seahawks and the worst record since the 2003 Raiders. Very little solace can be found in that. Fingers can be pointed, external factors can be blamed, and every last bit of that can be legitimate beyond reproach. But none of it resolves this one simple fact. The 2024 49ers were a disappointment, and it's a season that both the organization and its fans want erased from their collective memories. We will place these Niners here at number 9 with their disappointment score of -32.291. This marks the end of this page. For our next entry, we will turn the page as we get ever so closer to number 1. And after 18 straight entries with fewer than a single point of separation, we will get our third consecutive entry with more than a point. Be sure to join us for the release of that video to find out who it's gonna be. There isn't a whole lot to talk about regarding future seasons with this Niner team because they have yet to complete one. Of course, the 2025 season is ongoing as of the release of this video, and the 49ers are positioning themselves to make yet another run. The overall future of the Niners also seems quite secure. General Manager John Lynch and head coach Kyle Shanahan came into their jobs together in 2017, but both remain well young enough to last in those positions for many years to come. However, their ultimate success will be measured by their ability, or inability, to hoist the Lombardi trophy. Let me know your thoughts about this 49ers team or the 49ers in general. Is it fair to say that the Lynch-Shanahan combination can only be successful if they win a Super Bowl? Or has elevating them to almost yearly contenders already made them successful? Sound off on these topics or anything else you might have on your mind right down there in the comments section. Thank you once again for taking the time to join us today. And until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.